Welcome to the Maritime Startup Ecosystem Interviews, a series we created to give even more exposure to startups from the Maritime Startup Ecosystem Network. Today, I'm here with Jonsen Carmack of Sofar Ocean Technologies. Sofar builds accessible ocean sensing and exploration tools. And I'm here with Jonsen. Good to meet you. Good morning, early morning in San Francisco. Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on, Leonardo.
Well, good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you for being with us. We really span the entire globe. I spoke with someone in Singapore this morning, and now the other side of the Pacific Ocean. So I really covered the entire world. But let's talk about you. Sofar. Can you tell us something more about Sofar, more from what I just said? That is a very small description. So what does Sofar do, and maybe how it came to be, and your profile, your background? Tell me something in general about Sofar, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Jonsen Carmack. I'm the product manager at a company called Sofar in San Francisco. A bit of background about us is that we are a fairly new company. We're the combination of two pre-existing companies, Spoondrift Technologies and OpenROV, and we build ocean exploration and ocean sensing tools, most notably the Spotter observational buoy and the Trident underwater drone. These hardware products combine to collect a unique in situ data in real time all over the Pacific and all over the globe. And we process that data with the help of our ocean science team. And that is the new data set that was previously unavailable that we're now making available to anyone to access in real time via our marine weather dashboard and our new API products.
Absolutely, very, very clear. Thank you. It's very interesting because it's a nice combination of hardware and, if you want, software and data. Hardware to harvest all this data in places that are normally not accessible, that is in the middle of the ocean, but everywhere in the middle of the ocean, and then use data that is harvested to perform like analysis and possibly forecasts or what, you name it. I mean, we huge amounts of data coming directly from the state of the oceans. Now, my question: I'm a master engineer, so I have this always. I think how things work. Is it real time? And if so, how do you manage to get the data from the buoy in the middle of the ocean? Is it satellite connected? How does it work?
Sure. Yeah. So all of our buoys, they are all over the world. There's some down in the Antarctic right now. There's some at the poles in the north. There's some in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. They are powered by solar panels, and then they talk. They all have satellite-based modems internally that talk to what's called an Iridium satellite connection. And so it's a very expensive connection.
Exactly. That was my question. Yeah. So it's super expensive. Yeah. I see. So they are connected. You are connected with your buoys in almost real time, or in real time, and you collect this data through a very expensive network by its own nature, which is fine because it really reaches all the corners of the globe. It's funny because the globe doesn't have corners, but yes, that's what we mean. That's what we mean. And
yeah, the great part is that the expensive connections much cheaper by doing internal processing locally on the buoy itself, so that we're more sipping the data and we can send it out in very small bits instead of very robust connection that's usually needed.
Absolutely. So it's like edge computing in a way.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you use edge computing technology to be able to process there the most amount of data, so that then the juice that comes out from it, it's very concentrated, and you can send it through an expensive network by spending relatively small bandwidth. Great, fantastic. So, but so much for the technology, and let's see. I'm curious to see what are the applications of this. What are the applications, and who are the clients, the potential clients, or the clients that you have already? Not the names, but the type of uses that you can do with this stuff.
Sure, sure. So going back to the way that the two companies that I mentioned before were started, one was built out of a kind of a personal and recreational kind of exploration with the OpenRV and the Trident hardware. They had a very large, they made their start on Kickstarter, and had a huge following of kind of the maker movement, the people that like to build their own tools.
Right.
And so we saw a lot of early interest from the maker movement, the people that are making their own tools and want to collect their own data, kind of a lot of the citizen scientists, if you will.
Yeah.
And then another large early interest group was from the other side of our company, which is the Spoondrift wave buoy. That was built from a project that was with the Department of Energy.
Yeah.
They got an early grant to build a prototype of the spotter buoy, and our co-founder and CEO Tim Jansen is one of the foremost wave and ocean science scholars, and so he had a deep understanding of what it would take in a hardware product to collect this data that's in such sparse quality or quantities right now. So he has an expansive network of research and academia and universities, and so that has really been our largest chunk in early interest is people that are doing this forefront, this very innovative research across the globe on observing the ocean. They're taking, samples of how sediment moves across the ocean floor, or down in Louisiana, we have researchers that are trying to understand the effects on shorelines with global warming and the changing of our ocean in such a rapid clip. And so we have a lot of academia and a lot of scientific applications for the hardware, and the new data products that are now available. And then another large chunk of early interest is commercial business and operations.
Yeah.
And so these are people that are interested in understanding in real time and then doing their own analysis on business decisions that need to be made around safety and around economic efficiency, such as the shipping industry. We have this massive data set of how the ocean is moving and how much friction it's putting on, let's say, shipping vessels. And so we are able to use our really innovative ocean science team to find efficiencies in routes, let's say, across the Pacific. Since we have such a deep understanding of the weather that's out there in the middle of the ocean, better than anyone else does at the moment. We've seen up to 25 to 50% reduction in statistical errors from the standards that are out there right now. Mostly they're models that are based off of data that's collected by NOAA, which is the kind of the go-to data set that everyone is using right now and repackaging. And so we have academia, we have citizen scientists, and we have commercial operations. And then we also have people that are just generally interested in the ocean. We have the recreational and personal use case as well. And so those are Those are a great interest. You know, everyone we're finding this new data that nobody has, and so there's a lot of interested parties, and so it's great to get that data out there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And well, data from about the ocean is interesting for a lot of reasons and purposes. And well, we as a network, as Startup Wharf, we focus on the maritime use. So maritime meaning and shipping, meaning how I do trade using through the sea by transporting goods by sea. And this is just one tiny bit of all the scope of interest of for your data. But definitely, as you were mentioning, very interesting for routing purposes, particularly safety, and there is a growing interest for knowing the real state of seas to decide and define exactly what we can do and what routes we should follow in real time. So definitely there is value and interest. Now, are you already engaging with some stakeholders in this particular area of shipping, ships, and like related to ships, let's say?
Yeah. So we definitely have a few different pilot projects going on. I would say that our start has been mostly hardware based.
Yep.
And we're able to sell that hardware at an extremely lower cost than what's currently out there. And so there's been great demand for that. And then this other side of it is the data that we're able to collect with that hardware. And so there's a lot of applications for it. We've got a few pilot programs going on and underway, but it's something that I'd love to connect with your community and connect with anyone who's interested in this kind of data and learn about the problems that they're trying to solve. We're trying to understand deeply what solutions people need and how they can use this data in a way that helps them. And so we have some pilot programs going on, which is fun to see that early traction, but looking to accelerate that and get some more connections as well.
Yeah. I think that the role, our role in the space is really like what you say, to create the opportunities of the connection opportunities. The idea initially was to create opportunities between startups as suppliers of innovation and maritime companies as receivers of innovation, and of course investors as the engine that makes it all possible. But now there is a growing demand also from startups to be able to reach out to other startups and to know what they are looking for, what they have to offer, so that they really can find each other, because there is a lot of unexpressed value in even in our network of, say, approximately 300 startups that do the most disparate things, all related to maritime and to shipping. But there is a lot of unexpressed value when we could see that, oh, what if we merge, not merge the companies, but merge the data that we have on one side and the needs that we have on the other side, to create an even better value proposition for our customers. So definitely we are developing some tools to engage across the ecosystem and between and among startups. In particular, we are going to launch very soon a website, a platform where all startups have their own page, where there is the profile of the startup, this interview, and potentially other pieces of information that the startups want to put on the platform, and with sort of vetted access to certain pieces of information. For example, there is information that is interesting for investors. So, are you fundraising? Are you do you want to share a pitch deck or a pitch, an elevator pitch for your business? You can do it, but it will be accessible only to investors. But there is also another bit that is what you were mentioning before. You can also share either your offer or your supply of information, but also your demand, your request of information. What can I do with this data, or where can I find this kind of data?
Sure.
You know, and
Sure.
so like to create a marketplace only for startups, among startups, so that your request for a startup that or your proposal or your opportunity of, I have this kind of data, any startup wants to use it to do something, do what they do better, this would sit on a part of the platform that is accessible only to startups. So you don't have other stakeholders peeking into what you're doing before you do it. You you know, so we try to support the startups, protecting their integrity and giving exposure to the industry, but making sure that only that we are for an open system, but it can't be completely open, because then there might be either bad use, but also there's too much noise. An investor or a maritime company, a client, might not be interested in seeing that you're looking for a partner to use your data somewhere else. They don't care.
Sure.
It's just noise for them. So we want to get rid of this noise and really get relevant information to the various stakeholders. So, well, this was basically a pitch for what we are doing. Sorry to throw it in. I didn't expect to do it, but it is really on the lines with what you were saying. So you told me back to Sofar. You are in pilot mode in maritime and shipping, and also exploring what can be done with this data. Well, everything, but what is this everything? You know, what is the demand? What is the request from the demand from the market and from the other startups about using the kind of data that you have? And another question, which I'm interested to ask is, so are you doing some business development activity on top of these pilot projects within the maritime sector? If you want to share something or anything that you can.
Yeah, absolutely. So we definitely are. We are well underway with some pilot projects, which is great to see. We have a lot of early interest and early customers that are based, you know, they span the gamut, right? So they are in the shipping industry. We have some marine renewables. We have some insurance and risk assessment type customers, and definitely NGOs as well. And some aquaculture companies as well. We're looking to expand on those markets, and really just have as many conversations as we possibly can, so that we can be building the right stuff. So we can be focusing our efforts on the places that there is a market, right? That there is you know, business benefit of going after, but also, I mean, and equally weighted is where can we make the largest impact, and where can we do the most good, and where can we you know, take what we've built and let other people expand on it, and do good for and so it's a not an incremental change. We want to make exponential change and impact. And so, you know, focusing on the places where we can make that most impact, like marine renewables and new ways of feeding our planet with aquaculture, and ways of letting shipping companies burn less bunker oil. Those are most important to us, and finding partners that want to do and share that vision is very important to us too. So we want to have as many conversations as possible so that we can make sure that this unique data set, this unique value that didn't exist before, is getting out to the people that need it.
Yeah, yeah. So say outreach campaign to whoever could be could be a user of this information, of this data, to transform it in information that is relevant for that particular user, with the help of that user, knowing what is that you need, knowing what is that how you can benefit from this massive amount of data, and this massive knowledge of how is the sea at any moment in time, how is the sea surface, and I guess also wind and other parameters. So definitely reach out to Sofar to discuss not much your needs. Please build this for me, but explore the opportunities that there might be in leveraging this massive knowledge of the ocean. So this is for business development, absolutely. And then last question, if you want / can answer, how are you doing in terms of funding? You told me that it's a merger of two existing companies, I guess two existing startups, and actually one was a startup, like built from the bottom up, but both. But the other was coming out from more of a government initiative. But regardless, so how are you doing with funding? Because we might have investors watching this, and are you planning to do some fundraise anytime soon, and what kind of fundraise, so that they know, it's an opportunity to let them know if this is something that you can share, considering this is a public video.
Sure. Yeah, I think what I could share is that we're not actively fundraising, but we are a startup in the sense that we were two startups that is now has a new vision and a much broader and larger one, right? Yeah. And so we've seen a lot of really good early traction, which allows us to have a very healthy runway at this point, and a healthy pipeline of business, and some very interesting pilot projects that are well underway. So luckily, we're not in a spot where we need to be actively fundraising. That being said, we are always open to partnerships and collaborations.
Absolutely.
And so we're happy to have any conversation that people might think will be valuable.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, great. I'm very glad to hear that everything is going well, and that you really can think long term, and know that you are going to get there, and you're not going to run out of steam or of gas before getting there. But definitely exploring what fantastic things can be done with this massive amount of data and information and knowledge of the sea state at any moment in time. So I think this is the message for any company or the researcher or startup that is out there. Reach out to Sofar to explore how to leverage this fantastic knowledge that is not available anywhere else. So thank you very much for the call. We've been we had some shaky moments with my internet connection. I apologize, but I think it's worth going through that for the sake of getting these valuable conversations anyway. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Have a great day in San Francisco. Well, at home in San Francisco, I should say. But and stay safe, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.